So was the Rittenhouse verdict the best thing that could have happened to Dominick Black?
I think it was definitely a good thing for our case. I think the moment the jury acquitted Rittenhouse, it made it pretty clear that a much lesser situated defendant would have to have a dismissal or a similar outcome.
When he testified, I mean, he was hoping that it could help his case, and it did.
Right, he told the truth. He did what was expected of him. As you know, the state subpoenaed him to come to court, and the law requires people to testify truthfully when they're subpoenaed. So Dominick did everything that was expected of him, and I think that was a lesser factor here than just what the law required, which was a dismissal.
Do you have any,
go ahead.
Do you have any concern that the federal authorities might still want to charge him for a straw buyer?
We don't know if they're going to do that or not. I mean, there's always a possibility that the person could face some additional charges, but I have no information as to whether or not that's going to happen.
They made no contact about that or hinted at you?
Nobody's reached out to me, and that's not part of any negotiation.
What was Dominick's reaction to the verdict?
He was happy. He felt like that was the right verdict. He felt like that was the right call for the jury to make, and he supported it.
Has he spoken with Kyle since?
Well, there was a condition of bond that he not have contact with Kyle, so he's not violated his conditions of bond. Now, as of a few minutes ago, he's off bond, so I would presume that he'll have contact with his friend, but I can't speak to that 100%.
Can you speak to Dominick, how he feels about this outcome?
He's glad to have this nightmare behind him. It was really a long road that he's been down here. We always felt all along like the two charges were a bit of an overkill situation for him. That's why we filed a motion to dismiss right out of the gate here. It took a long time to get to this point, but I have to credit the district attorney's office. They really did the right thing and reached the right decision ultimately.
So if somebody buys a gun for somebody who cannot, because they're not old enough, and it wasn't ended up to be used in a crime, right, then it gets reduced to a ticket. Is that basically what we're talking about here?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the district attorney's office said they're still going to prosecute these cases, so they're still going to bring people to trial. If an adult buys a firearm for a 17-year-old, they don't agree with Judge Schrader's interpretation of the law. Usually when issues like this go into court, they eventually make their way to the Court of Appeals. That won't happen here because Kyle was found not guilty and Dominick's case was dismissed.
So as Binger said,
the outcome to this case, is it with prejudice? Can it be appealed? Can it be retried? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, it would be with prejudice, so there's no ability to bring additional charges against Dominick because we structured a deal where a citation was essentially the resolution for his misconduct.
So as far as the state charges, that's it, done?
He's done.
A little over $2,000?
Yeah, so the agreement was a $2,000 fine. The judge did $1,500 plus costs, so it comes out to about $2,000. There's money on bail, so we're going to take the bail money and he won't have any further obligations.
so you're saying the judge changed the $2,000 to $1,500, but with the other costs added on, it comes
I think
out.
the judge was looking at the fact that there are court costs every time, so he just added. He reduced the fine to take into account the court costs.
And you know, I wish you were here to answer this, but he's not. Maybe you know from talking to him. You just said Binger says he still believes this is wrong. He disagrees with the ruling on the statutory interpretation. Why would he not insist on trying to take this further and not reach this deal, make the judge throw it out, and then appeal?
Well, I think part of the reason is because Rittenhouse was acquitted. So I just think there's an injustice there for Dominick to be convicted of a crime that Rittenhouse isn't.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what's sort of front and center here, is the district attorney's office just wanting to do the right thing for this defendant. How that plays out on future cases, I mean, this issue has gotten so much attention now. Somebody else will argue this if they're not already doing so, and it will make its way to the Court of Appeals.
So at the end of the day, he was found the agreement was a violation of the county ordinance?
Yes, the felony charges were dismissed.
And the county ordinance was again what?
Contributing to delinquency of a minor offense.
And
it's
that's
a forfeiture. It's a non-criminal ticket.
And again, for those who don't understand, it's not even a misdemeanor, correct?
Right, it's not even a misdemeanor. It doesn't rise to the level of a criminal offense. It's like a speeding ticket or some low-level variation.
Do you know if this would affect his desire to go into the armed services? Or?
I sure hope not. I mean, he's got an awesome future ahead of him. Dominick's a wonderful young man. He's a great kid. I think the world of him. So I really think he's got a great future.
Last question. So Dominick, as we know, waived his Fifth Amendment right at the beginning at the Eniac Police Department, told police the truth from the beginning, took the stand, told the truth. What does that tell us about Dominick?
It tells you that he's an honest person. It tells you that he does the right thing. It tells you that he's got a good moral compass. It tells you that he's the type of person who does the right thing when he's supposed to. He respects authority, and I think that's his character to the core.